So let's open our minds to the concept of deepening our walk, deepening our path with God. We're made in the image of God. We have spirits within us. Therefore, every path we walk is a spiritual path. There's not, I'm on the spiritual path, how about you? Kind of a, I'm in an exclusive club. I can tell by your aura you're not one of us. As you do this, sort of what was just read from Yogananda, this idea that when we hear there's people, love people, even those who persecute you, Jesus says. Well, that doesn't mean enabling hurtful behavior. We get very confused about these concepts from spiritual teachers all through history. But Jesus, for example, says, I once told you, when someone asks for your coat, give them your shirt as well. Now, he doesn't mean that literally. We're all like topless down at Whole Foods or, Wait, no, that's already happened. Safeway, or whatever. He doesn't mean literally. And he says in A Course in Miracles, when I told you that, I never meant it to imply that you should harm yourself or anyone else when you're giving your coat or shirt. What he means, as we summarize that, is give what you can afford. If you have a shirt you can afford, give that. If they're freezing, they live on the streets, they don't have, and they ask for a coat, would you mind? I was in a mall once. I don't even wear coats. But one time, someone gave me a really beautiful leather coat. Walking through, and there was this guy said, man, that is the most beautiful coat I've ever seen. He was this nice, good energy African-American guy. And so he was built kind of nice. He said, man, I love that coat. I said, all right, just gave it to him. When someone loves something more than me, I'll just give it to them. I don't wear jewelry because I don't have any left because I gave it to you guys. When someone loves something more than I do, I don't mind. That's just the way it is. That's true non-attachment. But I don't go out of my way to prove that I'm non-attached. It just kind of happens organically. Love. And yet not to the point where you yourself would be freezing. You see a homeless person, you don't say, well, this is weird. Must be meant to be because I happen to have money, stack of cash, and there's a homeless person. Oh, just give it to him because it's synchronicity. And then you're on your way, though, to pay rent. You don't say, guess what happened to your landlord? Guess what? Amazing synchronicities. And you get to be part of it. I won't be paying rent this month because you and I, subconsciously on your part, mind you, paid our rent to someone else. It's inappropriate for you to expect your landlord to be okay with that. And then you'll go around telling people, can you believe it? My landlord, they just didn't get it. No, you were wrong because you did something you couldn't afford. But I could afford, I had it. The money was not yours. It was your landlord. So be careful and be responsible. So we're asked really to understand these concepts of God, Jesus, masters, your master, whatever. Give, but only give your time, energy, finances, and so on, of what you can afford to give. If they ask for something and you have more, you can give more as long as you can afford that. So by the same token, when we walk this path, we have spirits within us. Wherever we walk, it's a spiritual path. There's not a group that has it and a group that doesn't. And then if you think that, you're actually going a little more religious on us than spiritual. You can do that. Don't say the word spiritual. Talk religion and continue to hate. That makes sense. But don't talk spirituality and hate and think that makes sense. If you're going to be truly spiritual, all beings have a spirit, therefore every path they walk is a spiritual path. That's simple math. It's a spiritual path. That also means that when your neighbor or your children or your partner, and you want to say to people like me, Michael, I love coming here and I wish my partner would get on the path. Really? I recommend you do the following. Say to even if they're enemy-like family members that you wish would get on your spiritual path, that's what you're saying to them. If only they would get on my path. It doesn't make sense at all. So instead, say to them, and I mean this, I want to apologize for something. I actually have a lot of love for you. And that kind of got me moving in the direction of wanting to see you seem happier, healthier. Learning life's lessons the easier way. I'm allowed to see, the way I'm saying that, I'm allowed to tell you that because I'm just telling you how I feel. I would love to be able to help more. I would love to see you a little less in pain. And then, part 2, and I have found that the path I'm walking has helped me. So I just did this deduction that therefore it'll help you. But wait, there's more. You're already on the path. And I didn't realize, I forgot. You're already on the path. Everyone is. You're on your path. I guess I was accidentally wishing you were on my path. And that's what I'm apologizing for. I'm not apologizing for my path. I'm just saying if I seemed to push, because all that did was make you perhaps think that you weren't getting it. You weren't getting anywhere. You're in God's hands. They're made in God's image. They're part of God. They've never even separated no matter what they've done. So, and you might think, well, I don't like the concept of apologizing. It's huge to be humble, say to partners, oops. And you can also say goodbye if something's too hazardous. You can say to your child, sorry about this and that and the other. But if they're really abusive or taken, really abusive, you're allowed to say, I'm going to get some distance though. There's times. So when I'm describing, say sorry to somebody if you've pushed your spiritual beliefs on them, remember, they're on the path. They're as good as home as you are or anybody else. But it's okay to apologize, but that doesn't mean you enable. It's okay to give someone your shirt that asks for your coat, but not enable them. Everything within balance. So people often ask, what's it like, to live on the path? Some people just assume they're on the path. We're all on the path. But when we're walking in the light of God, there are gradations, there are levels of integrating that path. So I can be on the spiritual path, my spiritual path, and I can be telling you. You'll know when people are fairly new on the path. And I can't tell you exactly which levels are higher because I could be in one description of a tier, one stair or one tier, and be doing things that you might be on 2 tiers up and be doing the same thing because there's not exactitudes. But along these lines, when we're on the spiritual path fairly new, we're telling everybody what they ought to do. And what you ought to do is just smile. Oh, you're one of those. Don't say those words. Just know they must be new. Oh, you're a newbie. Do you have your spiritual passport? Because we can tell you're just visiting. You're still talking about everybody. There's this teacher and they're the only and the best, Fairly new. I don't think that's a bad thing at all. I think it's beautiful. Because you could look at it like a child coming home, from school. Look, I painted, finger paints. And it kind of looks like a mess. But the excitement is more than the art. To them, that's like, wow. And that's how you might look at it when someone says, oh, there's this thing in this, you must read this book. And there's a lot of that, but that's one stage. There's other stages. There's a stage where somebody will say, I'm awakened. I've reached samadhi. I'm completely, Can you just tell by looking at me, I'm completely egoless. Unlike you. When people say this, I just smile and say, excellent. It's whatever, that's fine. There are these stages, and you can tell that many of the early, especially early stages, they're all great stages because they're better than no path that you're awakened to, mind you. But you can tell because they usually involve kind of there's a newness. It's not integrated yet. See, when you integrate something, like when you go to eat something, whoa, look how good it is. Look how excited you are. And as you're eating it, wow, when you're integrating, it's different. When your system is integrating, digesting and then integrating the nutrients, it's doing really well. It's in the process. And that's how you know. When you're on the path and you're really getting it, it's not that you won't, like I do lectures or you won't sing songs. You can be a great musician and still sing. I'm not saying that speaking or singing means that we're not getting it. But there's a point when you're sort of pushing it, preaching it. Those are all early stages. The more you get it, there's more smile. There's a little more, really, how you do? Oh, great. You're bridging, you're connecting, you're allowing people to be wherever they are on their path, and you just hear it and get it. There's not a lot of correcting, there's not a lot of it's lower than my path, there's no comparing, competing. There's just a nice integration. And we get on the path, we'll all be tempted to make the mistakes. That when you're on the path, you're going to wonder, if I'm on the path, how come I'm still getting sick now and then? Or how come I'm still lonely? How come I still haven't found my soulmate? These are all really realistic questions, and they're going to happen to everybody at some point or another. You're going to even be tempted to really come down on yourself when something doesn't go well. You're going to think, oh, wait, if something's going poorly in my life, then I should really be 10 times harder on myself than I would someone else, and that makes no sense. Instead, remember just to go, oh, that one snuck in, it got me. Kind of be playful about it. You know, I'm lonely. Where's my... Oh, wait a minute. This is one of those things Michael warned me about. It flew in under the radar. It snuck in. One of those moments of self-judgment. Don't think that you read a book and you become clear-minded all the time. It's a process. And you'll keep doing it. Well, wait. Once I meditate for 3 years, is it gone? No. Okay, how about 5 years? If I meditate, and you know what? What I'm saying is not that you won't become enlightened or awakened. It's just that when you do, it integrates and you just smile more inside and out. It's this vibe. You carry it. If you're still down on yourself in those moments that don't go well, you miss something. You miss one of the classes. You miss something. Laugh at yourself. Don't judge yourself for judging yourself. Go easy on yourself and go, oh, wow, good one. That one kind of slipped in there, didn't it? Low self-worth. Somebody was asking about intense levels of loneliness. But I'm spiritual. I shouldn't be lonely. Like, what? Who told you that? Probably your head or a friend. Let both of those go. What made you think that you're not going to feel loneliness? You're going to the end. But when you really awaken, the only difference is that you laugh at the notion you could have been lonely. That's all. You're never going to just judge yourself and correct your thoughts that you were lonely. Oh, I shouldn't have thought that, because then you're not very awake, because now you're judging yourself. People forget the importance of levity on the spiritual path, laughing at ourselves first. The quote that was read before we started, I noticed, was along the lines of, pray for others that persecute you. Yeah, absolutely. But if you're still thinking that it's only talking about people out there, you miss something. What about this person? You're hard on yourself. Forgive those who persecute you. You start with you. And when you say, I'm lonely, I feel for you. I get it. But do you realize I'm lonely? You're already determined to say that you have a problem. There's something wrong with you. You're already condemning yourself. And I'm not giving you one of those speeches about your words. Don't say the word I'm lonely, because that's going to affirm it and keep it that way. That's partly true, partly not true. What I care about as a spiritual counselor, as a friend, is not that you say the words. I don't go la 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 la. No, don't say those negative words around me. That's not me. Like you're chanting, 3-year-old chanting la la. No, it's what I care about is the fact that you're a human being and you feel lonely. I don't care if you said it. What if you didn't say it and you kept it inside? I'm not okay with that. I want to know that you even feel it. I take your hand. I'm really sorry to hear that. But how do I get rid of this loneliness? You work it on the inside and you work it on the outside. How? Well, first of all, I look at where that loneliness is connected to all my thoughts and feelings and my history. Where have I felt lonely? How have I felt lonely? And I work on healing it, because healing is part of the spiritual path. However, on the outside, there are simple things we can do. I'm really, really feeling lonely, despair kind of lonely. What would it feel like if you were the opposite? Oh, I would have friends and people I can talk to. What are you doing right now? Well, that's different. Oh, really? So you're saying I'm nothing. Thank you. I got to go process this, No, that's different. You're a friend, then say that. Okay, fine. So Michael, thank you for being there. You're a friend. So that's one less loneliness you have. Anybody else you can talk to? Well, no, I'm in Unity of Sedona. I don't know anybody. I'm just visiting. I don't know these people. Really. I'll tell you what. Stand up. Introduce yourself. You'll have 150 new people now know. Or you sit with the chaplains. Or you go out to the cafe and you dine with people or have lunch with people. In other words, if you say you're lonely and you don't see your opportunities to switch that, you're wanting to stay lonely. Which is okay. You're not bad for it. Stay lonely. Just be careful not to complain about it. Because what complaint can you file if, in fact, you're okay with it? I'm not okay with it. Great. Then let's introduce you to somebody. So watch any negative emotions. I'm hurting inside. I have nobody I can talk to. Start with me. Start with this person, that person. Come out wherever you are. Don't sabotage yourself and stay that way. I don't have any intimate friendships. where am I going to find an intimate friend? Take my hand. We'll start with that. That was really nice, wasn't it? No, but I want somebody to snuggle with. What about my hand? How come my hand holding your hand doesn't count? Well, I just wanted, somebody to snuggle up with more. Come here. All right? There's a hug. Great. That doesn't count. You're a sex addict. Get away from me. Where do you draw the line? And I mean, learn to laugh at yourself. I'm not trying to condemn anybody, but learn to laugh at yourself. Relax and recognize you have more friends than you can imagine. It's easier to make friends than it's seemingly in the illusion than to find new droves of money. There's people all around you. Reach out, say hello, smile, invite people. Go to spiritual centers and yoga centers and so on. Meet people, say hello. Oh, I can't. I'm too shy. Okay, well, Michael, I'm terribly shy. All my life I've been really shy. And look what I got to do for a living. Hi, this is Michael. Because I decided there's more benefit to push through my shyness and show up than there is to stay hidden. That's all. I've grown up a little rough enough, not terrible, but rough enough of a life to where it added shyness. It shelters some of us, right? We pull away from the world because of the way we're brought up sometimes. But I found out this is what I am, this is what I do, and it's what I like. Oh, that's a terrible idea. Spiritual teacher? I mean, and I've told the story before, but it's absolutely true. When they asked me at guidance counseling day at high school, what we want to do, I had no clue at all. But I had brilliant clarity, vivid clarity. Two things I don't want to do. Travel or do anything in front of other people. That was my clarity. And they said, well, okay, we moved on to whatever I could do. And that's all I did for the next 40 years of my life. Travel and speak in front of people. What a terrible plan this was. But all it took was my deciding. The payoff, pushing through self to bring a greater good, was much more valuable than to let the other win and keep me hidden. Thank you. Now, I got to say, it wasn't easy. I mean, my first few talks around 1980, butterflies in my stomach. And then I learned, you can have butterflies, just make them fly in formation. Hey, straight. Get straight here, people. Instead of this. Clarity, it's like we're not herding cats here. Just chill. Calm down. So when you have fears, when you have loneliness, when you don't have a life mate, I don't know, that's normal on the path. It's normal. You just decide if the payoff is good enough to push through it to get that other thing. I'm nervous, I'm shy, I don't want to meet other people. Then stay shy and that's okay. No, but I don't like being lonely. Which one is stronger? And then own that you picked one. Divided, we fall. Don't own something and you're really up creek. Own something. It's empowering, even if it's something you don't want to own. I'm going to stay lonely. I'm going to stay completely sheltered and shy away from people. Okay, that doesn't sound great, but you know what? You chose it. Free will. You chose it. Now own it. Yes, lonely. in my house all the time watching my soaps. But find the something to own it and say yes. Because even when you make unhealthy choices, pretending you're not making them, you are doubly, quadruply destroying yourself. At least if I say, I shouldn't be having this drink, but you're having it. So have the damn thing. Just drink it. Now, do you want to stop drinking or do you want to drink? Just own one or the other. Don't say, I shouldn't be doing this, and then doing it. Don't contradict yourself. I go years at times with, in my life. I've done years with no relation. I loved it. Years of partnership. I loved it. Years of this and that and the other. Intimate friends. Loved it. Whatever it was, I can honestly say I loved each one of them. It was perfect. I loved it. Each one of them had its perks and so forth. So I can say, loved that, this piece didn't work, loved that, this piece. And now I know which pieces don't work, so I can assemble exactly what's right for me. Same thing with shopping or anything else we do in life. Just own. Just own. Own where you are and more will be given. Don't like where you are and you're already split, the foundation's bad and you can't build a good home on it. Walking in the light of God, living in the light of God, means we're guided in all things. But do you think you can be guided by God when you say, I'm doing this, but I wish I were doing that? I'm with this person, but I wish I were with that person. It's really unhealthy. I wish, if only. See, Jesus says in A Course in Miracles, the axiom, the most commonly used axiom of the ego is, if only. Yeah, if only, If only I'd gotten on the path earlier. But you're on the path. Yeah, but I'm 90. I wish I would have gotten on the path soon. You're always on the path. You mean you wish you would have gotten more conscious? Well, yes, totally. Well, but you are where you are. And the truth is, when you get into the light of God and say, I'm ready to live in the light of God, then don't do things that you wouldn't expect to be found in the light of God. You won't find contradiction. You won't find self-destruction. A lot of people have what they think is depression or chronic fatigue or fibromyalgia and so on. These things that are debilitating. That didn't happen overnight. You didn't inherit it from your mother. They happened over a period of us not owning who we are and following that. Doing what was not me. Living what was not me. Feeling what was not me. And all along, your soul knew it. But you let your head, your emotions, and your body live a contradiction. And you cannot. Divided we fall. So these things don't just happen overnight, and you're not just an accidental victim of it, and so on. We knew all along. Before any of these things happened to us, our soul was telling us, please straighten it up. Please get back on in line. Please be true to yourself. Whether it was a postcard someone sent us, a synchronicity of a song on the radio, it was there all along. It's just that we don't listen. By not listening, you have to own, I chose not to listen. But I didn't hear. You chose not to hear. Every one of us is completely psychic, clairvoyant, clairsentient, clairaudient. Our soul is telling us, even in our dreams, something is happening. And we wake up, oh, that was a weird dream. Oh, look, toast. Get distracted. Just on to the life, on to the day. Before a relationship ended, it was already there, man. It was already happening. Everybody on some level knew. Before somebody did such and such, before you lost your job, as Edgar Casey puts it, all major things in your life are dreamt before they happen. Because your dreams are one of your places that your soul is downloading messages to you. But not just in your dreams, synchronicities. Like this talk. I could be saying something that's so spot on, vivid for 1 or 1 million people watching. This is message number 99. Don't get it? Tomorrow will be 100 and that'll be it. Then all of a sudden, you're going to be, your soul's going to say, well, apparently you don't learn the easy way. I've got an idea. As of tomorrow, you're going to be left by your partner, fired from your job, and you'll start feeling fibromyalgia. It'll all hit you at once. That'll get you. And then you're like in bed, pain, lonely, And why did this happen? 99 messages came first. And it doesn't mean you're a bad person for not listening. You know what's true? It's really sad. Every one of us has moments where we're not listening as well as other moments. Every one of us. Doesn't matter. It could be it could be putting fuel in your car, and one part of you saying, just fill up the tank. No, I probably should only put $10 in. And you have 50. Yeah, but I want to go out to eat later. And now you run out of gas on your way to get something to eat. There's these little things happening. You'll never be able to keep up with all of them, but we have to get better at keeping up with any of them. Living in the light of God. When you're living in the light of God, you're going to start zeroing in on your soul's purpose. You're going to zero in more and more on what soulmate relationships look like. Not exclusive, but ships with everybody. Learning to love unconditionally everyone. And then certainly someone can pull away from the pack to become a life mate or something like that. But you learn to love everyone. And you realize that everyone's a reflection of myself anyway. So when they say at work, listen, we're going to move you from the administrative job you have into the shipping department. And you're like 98. And you're like, I don't think I can lift the packages. Well, you're going to have to. If I were you, I would think, yeah, I feel bummed. I mean, I started the company. I just remembered. I'm getting old and I forgot that I started the company. How did I end up in the shipping department? How did my job end up threatened? Wait a minute. And they're like, oh, we have big lawyers. You don't have any money to fight us. You have a decision. I'm going to go in that shipping department and kick butt. I am going to be great at this, or I'm going to see this as a sign. Not bad people are beating me up. It's, I'm done. These people are me. They're just saying, hey, we're and there's a part of you that would like to leave this place. And you're afraid to do it, so you're using us as the messenger. So just get the message, and the messenger will go away. And then if you can own that. And the same with partnerships and whatever else. I remember one time I was sitting in an airport, because I'm traveling, right, all the time. Sitting in an airport, and I was always on the floor, and by the gate, looking, and this family walks by. It was a husband, wife, and a couple of kids. And they walked by, and I went, wow, just something about them. I'm like, huh. And I'm watching, oh, I know what it is. They're healthy. That's a healthy family. I didn't have that as a kid. I didn't experience it all the time in partnership, marriage, and kids and all. Wow. Now then a part of me is like, I would love to do that. I would be willing to partner up and have kids again and have it like that. Then I took a moment and went, I am. Thank you. Move along. All they were was a symbol to me. And in a way, this is like Jesus in the desert, the devil saying, you can have this. And Jesus says, I already have everything I need right here. No person has anything you need. Nothing out there. There is no out there. This is a hologram. It's just a three-dimensional movie. What could you need? I don't recommend you go to a movie theater and make out with the screen. It's a movie. Oh, but it's a cute person on the screen. No matter what, it's still a movie. Don't get weird. And also in this world, this is a hologram. So be careful how funky you're going to get. It's just a hologram. It doesn't mean I'm saying go without. I'm saying first own that you are. I am made in the image of God. I have all that I could possibly imagine or need. Now, once I own that, my partnering with someone is a whole person joining with a whole person. Instead of needy looking for needy. Because when you do that, when you're setting a frequency, you're supposed to be walking in the light of God. I am that I am. Go to that default first. Our default program on earth is ego. Therefore, because it's ego, it's nothing but lacking. Because ego is not God. Therefore, if I'm aligned with my ego, I'm in constant sense of lack. So when you walk out your door, even if you think, okay, I'm not going to put that out there today, it's there, it's a vibe. If I have a frequency of loneliness in my inner being, it goes out like a call. And there are people out there that just beep, little antenna, beep, 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 beep. Oh, look, lonely. And lonely connects with what? It's going to connect with something that's not so healthy. So ease up, snip the antenna, work this person right here. I'm not saying you have to be lonely and alone for 50 years before you get it. I'm saying make that your default program. Notice when you see someone you think has something you don't have. If only I could be with that type of person. If only I could have a family like that. Oh, if only I could have won the lottery like that person. Stop, I am. Make this your default program. Living, walking, thinking, breathing, feeling in the light of God. Then everything else starts to shift. And again, I'm not saying be obsessive about it. But just, what is it like to live and walk and be in the light of God? Just hypothetically. Not how did Jesus do it. Not how did Buddha do it. They have their own unique path. You, ask yourself, what would it be like if I were walking in the light of God? I would probably feel fairly guided. Therefore, guidance would come to me in my dreams, synchronicities, still small voice, even psychic readings from other people. I just take it all as guidance to me, and I watch it, and I look for the common themes in the guidance I'm receiving. Make sense? Common themes. Okay, synchronicities adding up. Okay, that makes sense. So I'm guided all the time. Good. Even in what foods I choose today. I don't have a good diet, bad diet, a red diet, a blue diet. You just follow what does it feel like for me to walk in the light of God? Oh my God. Foods that seem refreshing and invigorating, perfect for you. Someone else says, well, but I still need to, I like red meats now and then. Perfect for you. Don't preach it because it means you don't got it. You still don't have it in here. You still don't have it in here. When you're preaching it, you don't get it yet. And you start to go, wow. That's why Jesus says what's important is not what foods go in the mouth, it's what comes out in your words. So, somebody's not doing what you want them to do in their lifestyle. Or the colors. What good does it do for you to look at a person going, summer shades, huh? You're a winter? That's really off for you. What good does that do? It just doesn't do any pushing and pressuring people. You need to read this book or you won't ascend. There are people that tell me all throughout my life, there's this stuff you can take. And you're guaranteed to ascend. Like, wow. First of all, if I'm nothing without a substance in a bottle, what am I? I dream of genie? Like, I can live without that. Like, you serious? The more you tell me I have to have it or else I'm not something, I'm already done with the conversation. Without a soulmate, because we think maybe Noah's Ark was a metaphor. Soulmate partnerships, twin souls. You can't get to heaven without a twin soul. Talk it. I'm not going to hear it. You've lost me as soon as you attached anything that has to do with need. I am. No, you need. No, I am. The ego's concept, if only. If only you had children and poor you, your womb barren. No, it's great. Completely own it. And there'll be plenty of people for you to nurture and parent. Plenty. God will give you plenty each day. Each day, someone to say, I'm sorry, what's going on, honey? And hugging them the way you would a child. It's an illusion, the things that this world sets us up for. If only you were in a partnership. If only you were gay. If only you were straight. If only you had more money. None of it matters. I already am all that I need to be, and I need to start living that. And then more will be added to me. I'm going to walk within this frequency, this vibration, this consciousness. And it takes me out of self-abusive thinking, because when I start to think self-abusively, I can just say, does that sound like I'm living in the light of God? Now, I'm not telling you to say, no, I better stuff it. No, I didn't say that. What I might do is look at, wow, what happened, honey, Michael? What happened? Where did that thought come from? Well, and then you start doing some self-inventory. You can use counselors for it. You can use self-talk meditation for it. But where's that coming from? Get down on yourself. I would look at myself. And then you start to uproot the patterns at their source. Not try to stuff them or comb those weeds into a nice braid. I would say, let me look at this and see what it's really about. People that are talking about being so lonely, start somewhere inside, do your inner work, and then also invite people in on the outside. I mean, this is a practical thing, living in the light of God. Before I came to Unity of Sedona almost 10 years ago, I'm touring and touring and touring. My lifestyle didn't really allow me to get to know people I never knew names of anybody. And I was here for a little while, and that was my lifestyle. So it's a pattern of not knowing names, which is another level of connecting, isn't it? So after a while, names, connecting. That was a way of getting more integrated and grounded on a different level. The other level I was on wasn't bad. I'm just saying it's different. But it was still a challenge. Can you connect and get to know these people? It's not better or lesser than the other traveling, because that's what you do. But here. And all of a sudden it's like, wow, and I've gotten to know so many people here. For all intents and purposes, this is my version of a family. This is my version of friends. Jesus told his apostles, I always called you my apostles. I'm going to change that now. I'm now going to call you my friends. Why didn't he say, well, that's all an illusion, so I can't even see you guys? He shows up, he's all enlightened, and yet he shows up and says, you're my friends. He hugs and kisses some of them, male and female. He talks to them about his innermost experiences. They see him cry. They see him sweat. They see him crucified. And even when he's being crucified, this is a concept I've shared before, but even while being crucified, he looks and his mother is crying. I mean, my God, she's crying. She's like, I know that I birthed the Christ. And he's been beat up, horribly beat up. And now he's on the cross. I mean, it's the most horrible form of execution in those days. The Romans, they were ingenious about everything, and especially brutality. And they figured out a way that was going to be horrible. She's watching her son, guys. And she's crying. I can't believe my son. And then standing next to her is John the Beloved, the apostle. And he's crying. He's the only apostle who had the nerve, besides Magdalene as a friend, the only ones that showed up of his students, who showed up. So John's crying. What does Jesus say? What's wrong? I can't believe you guys treat me like this. No, he didn't. You know what he said? Woman, behold thy son. John, behold thy mother. In other words, woman, if you're going to be missing and a son that you could love him. Be a mother to John. John, you're crying for me. This woman needs you. She's going to need you now. What's he saying, guys? Put your energy to what's in front of you and handle it. Deal with it. Not what you could have had. Not what you wish. I wish my son weren't dying. Jesus snips the cords right there. Turn it to that person next to you. Take care of each other. There's lots of people to love. Lots of people to be loved by. If you don't think so, you're simply not open to seeing it yet. Condemn yourself? Of course not. But I would recommend you consider shifting your mind on it. And so there's so many things in this world. Just imagine walking, living in the light of God. What does it look like? And there are so many things in this world that I could do some adjustments. Some areas I could use some adjustments. Listen to material music that feeds your soul. How many times have I said that, guys? Even as a kid, I knew it. Listen to Earth, Wind, and Fire, Michael. It feeds your soul. And when I was not wanting that, I listened to Black Sabbath. But that was it. Those two bands, And Sabbath wasn't the dark thing you think it is. Sabbath was singing. If you're in darkness, you're missing God. There was lots of God music in that band, but they presented it in a dark form that a person in pain could understand. It was still about God, and then there was Earth, Wind, and Fire. Listening to these tunes and going, yes, you've got to find something. Reading material, find something. live lectures, talks online. Feed your soul. Be careful not to corrupt your heart and soul with the conspiratorial, negative, fear-based stuff. There's way too much of that. Feed your soul. I'm going to walk and live in the light of God. I've said this so often that just do unto others not only what you'd have them do unto you, do unto others and do unto yourself what you would do for a child that you loved. Treat yourself with just at least as much love and respect as you would a child under your care. Feed it what you believe would make the child healthy. That's what you might look for yourself. Recommend it have friends at school that, that would be nice to the kid. Instead of, now you be nice to those kids at school while they watch you in an abusive relationship. Live the life. If you don't live the Christ life, then you are actually being hypocritical. And Jesus, in all his teachings, he doesn't get really loud and intense with almost any person or topic. There's so many things brought before him, and lepers and demons, and he was loving to everybody, and he was always loving even to the exception I'm about to give. But loving, loving, loving all the time. One concept he spoke up very firmly about: hypocrisy. That's when he raised his voice. Pharisees, you liars. You are children of serpents. Your father is the liar of liars. Satan. Or whatever terminology, that's all what he was saying to them. What's wrong with you people? How can you tell them you love God when you treat each other the way you treat them? How can you stone women accused of such and such when you're sleeping with them? Go beat yourselves up. Go work on yourselves. He was very firm about hypocrisy. Are we just talking about outer hypocrisy? He wants to speak the same loving, firm way to me. How are you being hypocritical? If you're walking in the light of God, you're straight, you're clear, you're clean. If you deviate, why are you deviating and allowing it? Bounce back. Come on, honey. Come on. Let's bounce back. You're deviating. How so? You have a relationship that's really rude to you. Yeah, but I'll be lonely if I don't have them. Oh, okay. Well, enjoy that. But you're out of alignment. As long as you can convince yourself that dysfunctional is perfect, then great, knock yourself out. Otherwise, I'm telling you, we all know on some level when we have slipped out of accord. Bounce back and then start over again. Jobs, whatever it might be. I'm not telling you to go and quit your relations tomorrow or quit your jobs tomorrow. I'm saying, have you done what you can to bring them back into alignment? Always do what you can to make a change and then accept it when you can't. But have you done what you can? So you work it. You bring things back, back to center. In the center, we're going to find the quiet one. One of you asked about that. The quiet one, the voice inside. Quiet doesn't mean no voice is allowed. Yeah, but shh. I just wanted to, shh. Could I have some water? Shh. It doesn't mean just completely shutting off any voice. The quiet one also means this kind of quiet. It doesn't just mean words. It means a quiet space inside. That even if there are voices, do you understand that voices can be quiet? Do you get what I just said there? Quiet voices. The still small voice. Did anybody ever catch on to that? I'm looking for that still small voice of God. Still, yet a voice. Yes. As long as a voice is coming from a place of quietude within my being, it can be a quiet voice. There's something about it that it's talking, and all it's saying is love, peace, joy. So I'm centered because so many people got into this concept of you must absolutely find quiet where there's no voices whatsoever. But they don't realize, and there's systems out there that are very popular around this concept, but they forgot to realize, they didn't realize that sometimes that was God speaking. Shh! I need quiet. I'm supposed to find God. So I have to have quiet. But this is God. Shh! And you inadvertently are, cutting that off. So instead of this teacher telling you, You must find quiet, no voices. I'm going to say it another way. Start listening for peaceful voices instead of quiet ones. Peaceful. Oh, that felt kind of, wow, okay. And you feel these shifts inside. Still voices. There's a voice that says, you better, prepare for that argument you're going to have and to get ready, get your defenses ready, because they're going to probably say this and you should say, that's not the still voice. And then all of a sudden, this voice comes in that is capable of saying, everything's going to be okay. Everything's going to be okay. A lot of people that are passing over are not hearing the quiet voice. They're fighting and they're scared. It's normal. They're scared. But you know what's nice is, many who are passing over, if you've ever worked hospice or know people that have worked hospice, many people who are passing over, they shift. There's something that happens where they're going from tense to, I think everything's going to be okay. That's the still small voice again. But am I allowed to have that while I'm alive? Yes. Yes. How? You have to actually, before you even choose it, you have to actually realize that it's that valuable. If you don't see the value of a quiet or loving voice inside, you're not going to actually do what it takes to find it. So we all have to say, yeah, that makes sense. How much? How so? A little bit or a lot? No, it really makes sense. That's the only voice I really want to hear. When you can say that, it'll start to become the only voice you do hear. First, the value of it. Second, now that I know the value, I'm going to choose it. When? All the time that I can. And when I slip, no big deal. I'll bounce back. Allow the slip to happen now and again. We slip and we bounce back to the still quiet voice. What if the still quiet voice isn't just rushing in all the time? Let me just be quiet for a moment. But there's another voice that's telling me there's an issue. Then let me start with this. I recognize I'm afraid. I recognize I'm anxious. Whatever it is that isn't the still voice, own it. I see that I'm feeling or hearing this. Name it. Then you can say, and that particular thing is not God. So I'm going to surrender that particular thing to God and then choose God. I own that I'm not hearing or feeling God. I know this is not God and it's not what I'm choosing. This is a voice of my past. This is my old stuff. Third, surrender it. Fourth, call in its replacement, God. You know what I really want to feel right now? Peace. I recognize I'm feeling anxious. I know this is about my fears and my issues and patterns of the past. I'm giving them all to you, God, right now, as unconditionally as possible. Breathe, breathe, breathe. You know what I really want to feel instead? Peace or happiness or whatever word feels right. Replace it in step 4 and then quietly give thanks, step 5. You don't run from it. You deal with it in the 5 steps. Recognize, accept, surrender, refill, and give thanks. Walk through the 5-step process to miracle working. When I've done those steps, you can expect a miracle. Something wonderful is going to happen because you've done everything you can. Don't skip any of them. Recognize, accept, surrender, refill, give thanks. Don't skip giving thanks. Don't skip recognizing there's a problem. Otherwise, how are you going to surrender it? Don't skip refilling with something new. Don't just say, well, I got that there's an issue. Yeah, that's great. But not surrendering it or not replacing it with something new. So we're going to have this voice that fights, and that's my past. That's my ego. That's my fear. I'm going to give this to God and call in something else instead. So we're closing now. Walking and living in the light of God. What does that look like? What does that feel like? And then the value of it, and then choosing it, and on a consistent basis. Nothing else matters. Living in the light of God. When you're living in the light of God, you can be of any walk of life, any gender, any sexual preference, any religion, any non-religion. It won't matter because you're making a choice to plug in. If someone comes to me and says, Michael, people meet me and they might suspect that I'm into spirituality, or they hear that I'm a spiritual leader or whatever. It's a crack up. They'll say things like, well, I'm just so, and they'll blurt out a cuss word or whatever, and they'll go, oh, I'm sorry. And I'll be like, I'll double you up on that one. I'm not going to shame you. What good is that going to do? So I'll give them a double expletive. Not all the time, but just jokingly. It's like, it's okay. Go ahead. You're angry? Yeah, I don't blame you. Meet people at that level they're at so that they can feel accepted rather than judged. But also do that to yourself. Oh, I'm aging. Oh, God, I can't believe the gray hair. Oh, I'm overweight, I'm underweight, I'm this, I'm... So what? None of it's true. On a spiritual level, none of it's true. Nobody ever died and went to the other side and said, am I still gray on this side? Nobody. It never happened in the history of mankind. Do I look good in these wings, Do these wings make me look fat? It's never happened. So, be gentle with yourself. And one person had asked earlier, this concept of living in this world. Live as though you're... A lot of birds out here, huh? Live as though you're walking in the light of God. And then you are going to be more and more walking in the light, living in the light of God. Someone's wording was, what about living in the third dimension and the fifth dimension at the same time? First of all, get today right. Just start with today. What about the fifth? Michael, what's it like in the 17th dimension? It wouldn't do me any good to tell you because you're not going there. You can't even deal with the third dimension. Have you eaten yet? No, I'm fasting, for 48 more days because I'm trying to prove that I'm spiritual. Start with today. But that doesn't mean I'm ignoring the question, which is, you are also, we're complete beings with several layers of our consciousness. You're already living in the fifth dimension simultaneously to the third, and the fourth, for that matter. But believe it or not, even better still than the fifth dimension, if you don't know this, you're actually also living in heaven simultaneously to living on earth. But which pair of glasses, virtual reality glasses, are you putting on? My virtual reality headset that I put on today, when I woke up this morning not in a good mood, I put on Total 3D. That's the program I put into the machine. Let's play Total 3D. And it was all really heavy 3D stuff. Can I put in fifth dimensional stuff? Yes, you can. But you have to live it. Please, don't take a thing that forces you into the fifth dimension. Don't try to make yourself be in the fifth dimension. I'm saying this very simply. The more you get the third dimension right, the more you're naturally graduating into the fifth. It just happens organically. I like the organic form rather than the, hey, I got something, you can pop it and it'll shoot you right to the fifth dimension. Yeah, problem is, you're still on Earth and they're, pulling you over and giving you breathalyzers because you're not driving very well. Get in your third dimensional body and deal with this body. But you will. The more you're walking in this third dimension and living in the light, you will keep integrating the fifth dimension and living it too. Many of us are not going to go on the other side anymore to the fourth dimension because that's usually the astral plane on the other side. It's happening in our generation that when people pass over, you will not so much go to the fourth dimension, certainly not for any long duration. Once in history, people would go to the fourth dimension on the other side after death. They could be there hundreds or thousands of years before coming back or ascending or whatever else they were going to do. It's a long time by Earth measured standards. It's not happening that way anymore. People have now got to the point where years or maybe 100 years now between lives, if even that. It's called the Great Cosmic Speed Up. People are cycling faster and faster. Why? Because you're clearing everything. So it started with this big wheel turning, lifetime after lifetime, and then faster and faster and faster and faster and faster, till everything is now. There's no more wheel. Wheel of karma, wheel of rebirth, wheel of anything, wheel of life. Everything becomes the now. And that's what it's like to integrate third and fifth dimension and fourth dimension. Let's take a few centering breaths. Centering. Setting aside all stuff of the world. We're going to spend a couple of minutes listening, hearing, feeling, and imagining that we can hear the cosmic sound, lengthy and slow, of Om. Just hear the one note, the one concept, syllable, anything you want to think it to be, but hear that sound slowly. Om, deep and slow. All of mankind's varying issues and needs chattering all around the planet. And God's responding with this long sound of love. Om. It's coming to the universe. There's nothing that can counter it. It's loving, fine frequency, and it penetrates everything as it moves through the universe. Past every solar system and planet. To the earth and every tree, every particle of water, every leaf, through the top of our heads, through every part of our being. Bones, muscles, glands, organs, energy systems. There's nothing truly in me that would resist this. God's will be done in and through me. And that frequency washes over us. Every race, religion, gender, lifestyle, equally, perfectly blessed. Sound of life, the sound of love. Everything being washed clean and restored to its real self, its true self. And then for the next minute, people, males or people with the lower voice, the lower register voice, we're going to just hold a foundation in a lower sound. Oh, like so. And then, after a moment of that, I'll say now, and then anyone that would like to, with a higher voice, start dancing on top of that. Please don't let ego take over. Just gentle. And it might be, oh, but it might also, it might dance, it might flow, and do what you would. Just let spirit walk through and let it sing through you. Those who are going to hold the foundation with me, please. Oh. Keep going. Breathe when you need to and just keep it going for about a minute or two. Keep going. Keep going. Oh. Whenever you're ready, higher voices, deep breath. Oh. Dance. Stay part of the group, part of spirit. Keep going. Breathe when you need to. Let the sound go. Let it ground into the earth. Let it rise to the heavens. One song. There are people all over the planet and beyond and in different dimensions. They truly are hearing the song of love. We anchor this not just here, all through the world and all dimensions. Even an individual or group of people hundreds of years ago, thousands of years ago, sitting and crying in pain in some way. Picture this. Picture some group, any race or person that's ever struggled in history, felt alone, betrayed, wounded, and let's picture them tilting their head upward, wondering, what is that sound? What is that? Maybe I'm seeing an angel, hearing an angel. It's us. It's us praying them well, holding space, giving them love, giving them hope. Picture them soaking it in, no matter what anybody's done to them. Picture them backbone starting to straighten up and feeling immune, feeling alive. Individuals will arise from that group, that race, that tribe, whatever it is, and become leaders. They'll become people that say no to tyranny and harm and lead those people into a new life. They need that. They need to feel within themselves hope. And whoever their leaders are, it empowers them to become that thing themselves. And we've made a difference. And lastly, just feel a wave of gratitude from the people throughout history that are feeling this frequency. A wave of gratitude for us. We breathe it in and we accept gratitude. And gratitude back to them. And then gradually stretching out, please. Nice job. I hope I addressed the questions, the numerous ones, that you guys shared. Most of them anyway. So thank you.